These are all fine.
I have cider.
Oh, sure, cider.
Yeah. I don't have a way to open it, though.
Huh?
I don't have a way to open it, but I did bring my
I mean, you
my
can do the
cork.
shoe trick if the hotel's okay with you bagging something against
You knew something.
I have a very expensive way of opening it.
Oh, yeah, that is, yeah.
But I don't know if it's carbonated.
Oh.
I've got a regular corkscrew
entirely dry. That might be a good idea.
Be a better idea.
Yeah, I mean, wine's better for the shoe trick if it's carbonated.
Right.
Yeah. People know the shoe trick, right? That's like the most magical way to open up a bottle of wine.
Never use it on anything carbonated.
No,
I wouldn't
would not recommend that. But if it's like flat wine, totally can.
I've never successfully done it.
Oh, totally did.
Never actually.
At this con multiple times.
I did, and then
You don't
realized
have a
it was
wine cork,
carbonated.
but I've got a shoe. Let's do this.
I never found myself so inclined that I wanted to try it.
We were desperate. We wanted wine.
I respect the desperation. I've never been so unfortunate, I guess.
Never do the key trick where you jab in a key and then like.
No, that's no.
You lose a key that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You know, with 2 pieces of key.
Yeah.
Not always. I've successfully done a key.
It certainly can be done because they've got a million videos online of people going, "This is how you do it." But you can easily lose a key, especially if it's like
Then
a
don't
brass
use a
key.
Don't use
Yeah,
a
if it's like a
fancy
cheap
mailbox
sort of
key.
That's what I did.
It was the
Yeah.
only one that was
Yeah.
special. Make a copy
Use
of
a
my
good
key.
key, man.
No.
It was the only key
It's
that's
like usually like nickel with something.
Well, yeah, with that.
Where do you start?
Where do you want to start? They
At
said
the
I can't keep it
beginning.
for too long.
Well, if you're gonna have things.
Yeah, that was unfortunately this was
Stuff I don't really want.
That's what I was going to do, because this was one of those.
I've done this panel like a couple times.
Yeah.
Since we like
See,
scratch built it like the last couple of years.
Right. Yeah.
Alright, and ginger ale.
So as I'm sure all of you know and may have looked up, none of the panelists that are supposed to be here are here yet. But we yeah, except for you.
I was on time.
Yay!
I usually get pulled into these things, but I'm also double booked against another panel too, so I get to run off in a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Foxes trying to get away from his keyboard.
Ah, okay.
It's joint at the hip. I hear it's kind of difficult.
He's
Got
got to
to drag it all the way
pretty hard.
here.
Yes.
And I carried it for him.
Oh yeah.
Those things are not a big person. There's some unusual ones pulling out.
No, I'm on time. That's they tell me to be places, and I make sure to be there because the programming head would probably kill me if I wasn't. I was already late for one panel, and that wasn't good.
So who here has had a drink this week? I'm looking at the guys up here up front. What's up?
You're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Oh,
in Wisconsin. There's no alcohol? Okay.
That's fine.
I would do that.
Oh.
Oh, that, yeah.
That's a bad reaction.
Yeah, that's not the correct reaction, so.
No.
Alright. That's fair.
Totally valid.
So, let's just start, since I'm not super good at doing panels. Maybe some questions from the audience just to get things kicked off, because I'm better at...
You want to introduce the panelists first? Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm the panelist. The one who's supposed to be
The only official panelist.
The only official panelist. My name is Josiah. I love a good glass of scotch, and I've come to really appreciate the stuff. I started drinking it a number of years ago. I'm not going to say. This is the particular scotch I'm drinking. This is Lagavulin Distiller's Edition. I've started to have a lot of fun with people who... There are a lot of scotch snobs out there, and I've tried not to be one, because there's so many right and wrong ways to drink it now, which for me is just hilarious, because, I mean, honestly, it's you bought it. Do what you want with the damn stuff, so if you paid the money for it, you want to drink it a certain way, don't let people tell you not to drink it that way. I might give you a funny look. I might not agree with you, but don't let that ruin your enjoyment of it. Just drink it out of a glass. Don't...
Nothing up your butt.
Yeah, and oh god, no. If you shove that up your ass, you die.
Yeah, no butt chugging, please.
No butt chugging, especially.
Do not recommend.
Yeah, my only critique is that people. We just went 0 to 100 right there.
It's late.
Yeah, that's my only critique about drinking this stuff is just don't chug it. That's the only thing I request of you is take your time with it, sip it, and enjoy it. That's
How long should a glass of scotch last you?
I was gonna say as long as you wanted to, but that has gotten someone to slam a glass of scotch before, and there are a couple people in this room who can attest to the fact that I seriously almost punched that guy right in his face. So okay, so there you go. We'll get the ice broken this way. Quick story time. I had a bottle of Glengoyne 10. It's about $40 a bottle. It's not horrifically expensive because this is quite a bit more than that. It was about $40 a bottle, and I was at a party at a house. I don't remember exactly where, but there was a guest there who was saying there was a Smash Brothers tournament. This person's like, I gotta get drunk before I start playing. He's like, I need some good stuff. And I was like, well, I brought this bottle of this. It's kind of nice. It's good mid-range stuff. I was like, and as I'm pouring the glass and handing it to them, I'm saying, don't chug it. He takes it out of my hand and just slams it. And hands the glass back, and he's like, yeah, it's okay, I guess. And I took the glass back, and I politely walked up the stairs to get some air. Because I just wanted to throttle the guy. It's like, before I could even tell you what you were about to do wrong, you did the wrong thing. And then this person spent the rest of the night being an arrogant prick. So that made it even worse, because they were talking about, like, the guy who was bragging about the stuff that was so good when I told him it was not that great. So, you know, I would say there's no wrong amount of time to spend in a glass of scotch, but take long enough to appreciate it. You know, taste it on the front of your tongue, taste it on the back of your tongue, let it hit the roof of your mouth. Get to know the glass before you just go crushing it, you know. Really take the time to appreciate it.
You probably get along well with this man.
I do get along very well with this
Could I
guy.
have brought my Malort?
There you go.
No!
Malort, yes,
Oh, we
go
definitely get
Malort.
along very well.
No, you go!
No one because Zen Fox drank it all last night.
Why would anyone want to drink Lord?
So you guys
I give ribbons to
On a
people that
dare?
don't.
Okay, okay.
So every time I turned away at Iron Alcoholics, Zen would swig more of the bottle.
Oh,
Enjoy it.
it's in the right room this time.
It's right.
Yes.
This is the same kid that used to empty pencil sharpeners and
Well, I didn't see the number on this. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
That's the 18.
No, this is a great segue into the next topic.
Okay, next topic.
What
You're
is the
up.
next topic?
Or
No,
the
you're
next,
not up.
the next
He's talking
de
about
facto
Scotch.
panelist, I guess?
Oh.
Yeah, so let's introduce more of the panelists to the list.
Trevor, are you a panelist now?
How many? I can be if you want me to leave.
It's
Like
going to
I'll.
be like a ska band up here. It's kind of
Yeah.
like all the panelists that want
I'm the
so
only member of the ska band who actually was sticking around, I guess.
No, I'll stick around.
I'm sticking around.
Okay, there we go. We
I
got
mean,
something.
is Foxmore actually on this one?
Yes,
He's on the-
but
he's still banging on the keys.
He's selling
He's
stuff
on the
right
board.
now, so...
No, he's still playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, play.
Well, he's going to keep
Playing
playing.
Husker.
He's going to whore himself out for a little
He's
bit.
selling his
And then
talent.
Yeah, he's going
Yes.
to come over.
Very standard time.
That's what
Yes, very standard time, yes.
I think they're doing the playoff song. I think they're doing a heavily bastardized version of "I'll see you next year," or "I hope I'll see you next year."
And are they going long because some assholes invaded their concert?
Yes, in fact, Pepper Coyote's acoustic guitar is out of tune because of the slapstick that preceded it.
Oh, really?
I poked my head in for like 5 seconds and I got to get enough information of what happened. God damn it, Husker. Hashtag blame Husker. Alright, did you introduce yourself
Don't
already?
worry about
I
it.
did.
You're up.
I did. Yeah, you're
How
up.
you?
Hi, I'm Dragor. I'm a Scotch snob. I mean, what?
Another one?
Yeah, but I'm really, really, really a Scotch. I like whiskey in general. If it's barrel aged, there's a high chance that I will enjoy it. This is slowly extending to beers, but more often than not, when people make an awful whiskey face, that's me on even the lightest, least offensive of beers. It's like, no, it needs to either be liquid campfire or it needs to be whiskey candy. And I don't know what this is, but I'm going to bring it with me and
You
find
come
out.
over later to my room, and I will show you
But you know-
what beer is all about.
You know the first rule. To make good whiskey, you gotta be able to make good beer. That's a fact.
Right on.
Is that a fact?
It is. Typically.
You also have to have a ton of patience.
That's very true.
Yes.
And I just do not.
But yeah, no, this one, for any of you who are interested, thanks again, by the way. The Otto's that is nearby here, this Balvenie Caribbean cask, 14 years. For those of you who don't know, as far as single malt Scotch whiskey or even blends is concerned, if there's an age statement on it, that is the age of the youngest whiskey in it. Very often there are things older in there, not just to brag about it, but they blend different casks that they've been aging together to try and hit a consistent flavor profile more often than not. If you see something that is labeled single cask, that basically means whatever you sample from there, you'll probably never have exactly like that ever again, unless you find a bottle that came from that exact cask. So that's that. I could ramble for a long time. I'd rather drink it, though. Let's do that.
This one in particular is rested in rum barrels. That's why it's called
Yes.
Caribbean cask.
It's
nice.
That's a very sweet finish. It's very nice.
So what I was saying, and I am serious about it, especially because I prefer to buy local where I can. The chains are good for getting other imports and things, but I like to support mom and pop stuff. The Otto's has this for what, $50 a bottle?
Yeah.
Binny's in Chicago has it for $80 right now.
Wow. Yeah.
So
it's a steal.
if the deal is still going on, it sounds like how many cases of this stuff they had. This one is a very good, I would call it an entry whiskey. It's sweet, it's smooth, it still embodies what a Scotch is. I've had several people who I'm like, just try this one. It's not like liquid campfire like this one. You might actually like this.
Yeah.
And more often than not, people are like, I think I could sip that. So it's a very good one. Now, $50 a bottle, obviously that's like somewhat ridiculous, but Scotch whiskey by default is, because it sat in a cask for a long time. Sometimes I don't understand, like, how do they not drink just the fresh distillate? It's sweet enough, just bam, moonshine, go. Whee!
That's fine.
Oh yeah, if you stop at Otto's, does anyone remember the guest of honor last year, Iron Feathers? Her dad works there, so say hello.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
He remembers us fuzzies coming in and like, why are my
We're coming in with
sales so
badges,
high?
so like, do you go to the thing that's down the street? Like, yeah, who's asking? And like, oh, my daughter's, I think, the honored guest or something there, the artist. So like, oh, you're Iron Feathers' dad? Like, yeah, oh, say hi for me. It's like, this is awkward.
Nice.
But it's fun.
Oh yeah, no, they're very cool, awesome people, so.
Nice.
But yes, definitely patronize
where's
them
that
and
made?
say hi.
This one?
Yeah.
Where? I actually don't.
That is-
so all of them are
That
Scotland.
is a space side.
That is Space Side.
Yeah, this is Speyside.
Up in the Highlands, what I like to call Yuppie Scotland.
we need Fox here to give us the lowdown.
Where there's
of,
actual
Of all the
terrain.
different areas,
Yes,
yeah.
where there's actual
It can
terrain.
be very
We need a map next time, just
Yeah.
pop it up on the projector.
I just want to be on island. An island that's like, what, 30 by 30 square miles and has 11 distilleries? This is amazing. This is the best place on earth.
You let me guess, you've done SimCity.
as far as
Never
for Scotch whiskey, so a lot of complaints you get about it is the Band-Aid smell and/or flavor. I don't get that, but that is the peak characteristic. This one has it less than many of the others. This one has it in spades. This is the kind of thing where someone pours it into a glass and everyone at the table goes, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
And we go like, "Deliciousness, rich, velvety, smoky deliciousness."
It's very much an acquired taste, and it's taken quite a while. But
I've had a lot of
It's okay.
practice, though. I had so much practice before I got to that I feel like it was a needed step. Because I find Space Sides are a great intro if you're going to go into the Scotch world. And there are a lot of affordable blends that help you warm up to it. But you almost need to try something different after a while. I feel like that's with anything. You start out drinking, you go to college, you drink cheap beer. Then you move up to say, okay, this is a little more expensive. Do you like a craft microbrew? And you try and avoid going off that cliff where you're buying the $20 beer because the guy in the liquor department's like, you need to drink this. And it doesn't pair well with anything, and it's horrible. But there's definitely a line where you're like, okay, I'm at that point of I've found something different than just what got me into this. It's an adventure.
I'll go ahead and introduce myself too because I have to jet in a little bit. So I am Martini, or Martini Soft. Everyone calls me Martini though, named after the drink. But I guess I will talk about ciders. I didn't bring mine down, but this will do. This is your cider,
there you
right?
go. Yeah.
Ciders are kind of my fun jam lately because it's easier to brew than beer because you don't need to go through a whole process of creating sugar because hey, sugar's already there. But the other downside when you're making cider is that there aren't the other essential amino acids and all the other fun stuff that the yeast love to chew on to create the ever-loving thing called alcohol that we love to drink. So we usually jack it up with a yeast nutrient and booster, which helps gap fill those types of things. But we also don't like to make a really light cider, because most of the ciders you find out there, like the Angry Orchards and stuff like that, are basically like your average beer. They're about 5% alcohol by volume. We crank it up a notch. We use a dry English ale yeast that gets it up near 10%, which apparently if you get near the 11% mark, it's apple wine at that point. So we get just under the bar. That's also because we add sugar back into the process because it's super, super dry when it finishes. It's like, ooh, you spilled some apple in my vodka. That's kind of the way I can describe the taste. It's super, super dry. So we add in dark brown sugar and all that to finish it. And then that also remarkably did like a great job at hiding the alcohol, which is also part of why the Misty panel has so much fun every year, partly because of us.
Oh, I still hurt from that.
Yeah.
If you guys weren't there, I tapped out. I don't usually do that when I go to those.
Yeah, we're usually the cause of that every year. What's up?
So I came across something neat that's good for mixing as an additional sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar in the raw makes a liquid version.
Oh, cool.
It is a simple syrup made from sugar in the raw.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just like so it's like turbinado sugar or whatever.
Yep.
So it's basically sugar that's not been processed with the molasses taken out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we
But
use dark brown
they make
sugar.
it as a simple syrup.
Oh, that's cool.
So it blends into it.
Yeah, it's basically what we do before we put it into the fermentation process is we add water into that so then we can boil it down to make it more of a syrup. But at that point we also add in a cinnamon stick, so we flavor ours with cinnamon. We do a ginger version too where I take a whole bunch of ginger, slice it up, and I throw in like half a pound of ginger in one batch. We gotta do that again. I miss doing that. Yeah, I'm a ginger fiend sometimes. And also ginger is hard. Like it's really strong when you get it fresh. But when you do the brewing like that, what I found is like it takes a lot for it to overcome not just the sugar, but also the apple flavor. So I guess next time we do that, it'll be a thing. But the cider world is kind of getting super big and sort of exploding. Actually, in Chicago, there is a brand new cider house. All they make is cider. And in fact, every year now they do a cider week. So there's a whole like cider celebration thing like over a weekend where all the different breweries in the area make ciders, and they show them off in Chicago. There's a bunch of other places that do it, but since I'm from Chicago, this is like the one thing I know. I'm pretty sure Milwaukee actually does something similar now, because there's so many microbreweries and stuff out here. And during the winter seasons, it's easy to get, apple season, like cider season, all that is between, I think, like late September all the way through January-ish, depending on when the frost happens and all that stuff. So you can find cider pretty easily, and there's actually a lot more variety out there now. Like ciders are becoming super, super popular because gluten-free. That's kind of a natural thing you get from it because you're not using bread at all. That's what beer does. So there's a lot of fun you can have with these, and it doesn't have to be just apples. There's pear ciders out there. There's raspberry ciders I've seen out there. You can even just take the apple cider base and then just add fruit juices to it and go crazy with it. So you can get really creative with it, but it's also sweet. It's a lot of sugar. What's up?
I was just curious, just maybe for everyone out there at the tables.
Yeah.
Do you prefer a sweeter cider or a drier cider?
Ooh, I tend to prefer like middle of the road. I like to get either what they would classify as like medium dry or semi-sweet. But yeah, you can go all over the spectrum. I think he said this one is a drier one.
That is a dry one.
Yeah, and it's a matter of preference. Like when I make homebrew cider, we try to hit like right in the middle, sort of like where I'd say like an Angry Orchard is. But like I know Crispin, which is an InBev brand or whatever, they are a bit on the drier side, if I remember. This is a bunch of like specifically dry ciders, and you'll see them advertise it as such. But others that don't say that, they're probably sweet or on the sweeter side. I tend to not like those too much. I'm kind of sensitive to sugar. I've cut down so much of sugar in my life that if I have something super, super sweet, I'm like, that's good, but I don't want to have another bottle of that. Or I'll take like little sips. And
This one is the other end from that. This is one of the sweeter ones you can get as far as just in a store.
Oh, nice.
Right now, it's really hard to get west of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
except for the Chicagoland area,
Yeah.
because they got the licensing for that part of Illinois.
Yeah, distribution across states is weird.
Yes.
Really weird.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they've got this like crazy around Chicago now, and this is, if you ever had like the sparkling cider at New Year's, that's basically what this tastes like, except it's got alcohol in it.
Cool. All right. Well, I actually have to tap that now because I have to run my other thing. So
Thank you
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Have a great time, folks. Yes.
Be
Don't get too
responsible.
drunk up here.
I got 2 silos. I don't need to be
We'll say,
responsible.
finishing up on Martini's cider talk, if you can't find like specific ones like that that are just made locally all over the place, definitely check out English and French ciders. French ciders are funky, delicious. Most of the time they're organic, but they can be some of the most absolutely beautiful things you ever drink as well.
I actually... Did anyone else, did anyone here, or did any of you guys make it to the Cider Summit at Navy Pier, I think it was last weekend? It was in
A
Chicago.
bunch of furries ended up there.
I missed, I went in 2017, we couldn't go this year because of my nephew's birthday. I was so disappointed. If anyone's a big cider head, they do that every year now at Navy Pier in February. Cider Summit, it's in the ballroom at the end of Navy Pier. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous venue. And there are ciders I have never heard of that go to this thing that are really, really good. I found my new favorite, Thistley Cross, there. I don't know if any of you have ever had the brand. But they have go figure, they have a Scotch barrel-aged cider that is probably the best cider I think I've ever had. It's just on the right side of dry with a little bit of sweetness, and you get a nice hint of caramel at the end of it because of the Scotch. If any of you are ever in Chicago in February and you want to get a lot of ciders to try, just to build off what he was going for, get out to Navy Pier in the middle of February. They usually do 2 flights, so it's not too crowded. You can do a morning shift if you're a day drinker, or you can do a night shift if you want to get a hotel room and really go wild. It's awesome. It's a good time.
I wish I'd known about this last week.
Yeah, same here. To be honest.
There's a lot of, especially in Chicago, they'll do a lot of street fairs that are beer tasting centric, especially with all the breweries that keep showing up there. A bunch of this happens in Wisconsin. If you're not from either of these 2 states, look around. That's a great way to check stuff out. I'm not a beer person. I've been, I say, dragged along to, and it turns out even I still find some stuff that I enjoy there. And even if I'm not liking it, I'm still trying different things that aren't standard bottles. So I'm still experiencing different stuff, and it's helping me hone in on, all right, this is what I like about it, this is what I don't, and it helps the more knowledgeable friends of mine go, I think I know a beer you'll like now. Because you gotta go through the questionnaire of what works and what doesn't for different bottles. But the same thing for Scotch whiskey. I've been trying to get my mate to find a sipping whiskey he enjoys, because I don't really drink much else. I'll do gin and tonics in the summer, and that's it. So, we don't often get to literally share a drink. And we're both, working with each other to see, it's like, all right, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? And finally, after years of being together, we each know the preferred bottle for each other.
Stocking stuffers.
Stocking stuffers, yes.
I am Furion. Hello, everybody. I am not a specialist in any area of liquor. I'm more of a generalist from...
You're also a sadist, let's be honest.
Well, I was going to include that later, but you beat me to it. I'm a little bit of a sadomasochist or an alcohol adventurist. I do like to go around and try interesting and unique alcohols, from the Malort down in Chicago to China. Some people brought back what they call soy wine, which is neither wine nor delicious.
You tricked me on that.
I did trick you.
Never again. Never again.
But
when the experience guy is no.
Even the smell is god awful. But I like to try things from all different ranges, even stuff that he makes, to try to figure out what's good, what's not, what price ranges you can expect to find drinkable alcohol, not just college swill, but something you wouldn't be completely ashamed to, put in your liquor cabinet or recommend to friends or family. So that's pretty much where I kind of fit into this, other than say, hey, how about some more Malort? I've got ribbons now, and you want one. So...
Did you try the kale liqueur last year?
Kale?
Absolutely. That was actually not too bad.
Tell me this is fake.
No,
it was not fake.
It was not fake.
Did you have to make it yourself?
He did.
He did.
He made it.
I'm impressed, I think.
Okay, so here's the thing. It tasted like a proper, if you close your eyes and imagine kale liqueur in your mouth, it tastes like that. I'm looking out like some people they're making the face I made without having even tasted it.
The taste
I have no idea what kale tastes like.
That's the face.
It's
of
a
it.
taste
What's
one
the
of the two.
kale
He's
taste?
got India Kale Ale this year.
Oh God! If any of you saw what I was sipping on stage at opening ceremonies, those faces were not played up. I really, really found the India Kale Ale disgusting, and you should be ashamed.
I am.
I recently found something else.
His idea.
Something else equally disgusting. If anybody ever wants to know what Malort tastes like, but not actually try alcohol, the cartridges for the Nintendo Switch have a bitterant that is put into the plastic
Very close.
they manufacture the cases with. That tastes damn near close to what Malort tastes like. Yes.
What? Because idiots put them in their mouth?
Children.
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 And
Children.
idiots.
So
from
if you lick the game cartridges for the Nintendo Switch, that's pretty close to Malort.
Does anyone have a Switch with them?
No.
No,
In my room.
No.
my roommate does.
Get him.
Don't
Right.
I'm not doing. See, I do these things so you don't have to.
I heard
But I give you the option.
Wait, whoa. BS, because it was at this panel where you went, hey, what happens when we mix Jim Sock smoky whiskey with the kale liqueur and Malort?
Malort.
We called it Cerberus.
Cerberus.
I also love to do mad science because why not?
It
So
was so bad.
there is.
Three terrible things, you might get something nice out of it.
No.
No, you got the worst terrible thing.
Okay, try
Use alcohol this way.
There is a more refined version of Malort called Leatherby that's got more of an absinthe kind of licorice, anise or anise flavor. Anise. I found that if you mix that with half portions with that in Rumplemints, it's actually really good.
I had that at least
Leatherby
punchy one time.
Malort.
How wrecked are you afterwards?
Hi, Ziegler.
Oh, it's a little thing.
What's with this
Not on
other
the-
thing?
not on the
Yeah,
back
but
side.
I was
forward to the season. I think.
one, Malort is only like 30 or 35%.
It's 70 proof.
And your kale liqueur, that was moonshine.
Hold on.
I think
Now, the base
Kale
was
shoved inside of it.
190 proof, but we toned it down to 40%.
That burned more than 40.
Oh well, maybe the IK.
Maybe the batches.
No, the beer that we made, I calculated out to 16.25%.
He did math, people.
Oh my God.
Math.
Yeah, the India Kale Ale sucked ass and it got you.
Are you
knocked
supposed to
up.
be in the advanced trigonometry panel? Is that what
They're welcome to come over here if they'd like.
Wait a minute. Does that mean we have to do math?
Where are they? Are they in secondary? Are they in the basement?
They're in
I think
like,
they're in the basement. They're in the basement.
Wait, there is actually a trigonometry panel going on?
Yes. At like 11:30 at night.
The best time
It's
to
either
do a
that or
triangle.
7:30 in the morning. Take your pick.
Why are we going off on this?
I'm debating whether I should just start
Because
drinking right now.
There you go.
What
else you got?
Want some hefty weights?
Anyway.
Shit, right? Shit.
I made this. I do interesting beverages now, and
I
actually
am
I'm expert. Right here.
I hate math.
My good friend.
I love math.
I was
Hi.
going to go Ara shit, right?
Ara. Just Ara. Hi, I'm Arshan. I am kind of all over the place. I fluctuate between what I'm really into on like a bi-monthly basis. So I really started out in wine, and I still am. That's my main career path right now. I have taken a couple sabbaticals into like whiskey, and bourbon is kind of my universe. Kind of a collector. But also know what I'm talking about when customers come in and they're like, I like this particular profile, I like something a little drier with a hint of cinnamon, and I'm like, boom, right here, and they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I've tried all of these.
I am a lush. Professional lush.
I get paid for it.
Yeah, that. Wine sometimes gets a little bit of a bad rap from like the whole alcohol community because it's seen as a little bit snobby and damn right. Yeah. But I feel like going off of what you guys were talking about earlier, talking about like starter whiskeys and like stuff that you move up to eventually when you just really want to wreck your palate. Wine is very much the same thing. A lot of people, when they're starting out on wine, or just are handed a wine for the first time, maybe they'll be at like Olive Garden and they get a sample of whatever the red wine that is that night, and they're like, "Whoa."
That's honestly how I
Awful.
found out I can tolerate some wines.
Oh,
It was
wow.
Olive Garden.
You could take the house red?
No, it was Lambrusco.
Oh, okay, all right. So, but you start out on some of the sweeter stuff, and you find your friends or tasting groups or whatever, and you get to try other things, and you may at first say like, oh no, I'll never drink anything but this like shitty barefoot Moscato. And you'll grow up. You'll grow up.
You might get diabetes.
You might get diabetes, but if you don't, you'll discover that okay, there are flavors deeper than sucrose at the top, and you might just take that bowl of Moscato and be like, that smells like flowers. This Pinot Gris over here also smells like flowers. It's not as sweet, but I can dig this. So you move up the chain. You start to find stuff that's a little bit more challenging, or you're pouring a glass at a friend's house, and you're like, well, this is what we're having tonight. Try it with this food, and you might say, ooh, I don't like that at first, but you're eating some of the food, take a sip, you're like, huh, interesting. These flavors kind of match up together. It's a step-by-step process, and people take baby steps. And what I really recommend is, just like with whiskey, just like with beer, if you haven't found a beer you like yet, try everything.
Favorite wine that's called the Tour de Franzia.
Ew.
The first year where you just start out drinking box wines and horrible things because you're like, this is where you start. And
so
box wine can be okay.
So I will never beat down box wine except for Franzia. That is not wine. That is diesel and fruit juice.
Invigorating.
Black Box is okay. Boda's cool. There's a lot of companies right now that are coming out with like imported wines from Spain, from France, from Italy, and they're putting good shit in there. And I really feel like for the last 30 years they've been trying to push that format out, and it's just now starting to catch on. So if you see box wine that you don't recognize, that doesn't have 8,000 flavors, pick it up and give it a try if you're feeling adventurous. If you can seek out wine tastings at wine shops on weekends, go to them. Be exploratory. I'm sure that a lot of the times they'll have other things besides wine available. So, go out and have fun. Shoot.
On that note, a lot of the big chain liquor stores, like Vinny's does a bunch of them. A lot of the really big places do almost every weekend at least a small amount of tasting, and then once or more than once a month they'll have big tastings. And it's not just wines; they'll have a lot of different types.
Right. A lot of your little places will, ever since the whole Total Wine thing started up, little places have been struggling, and I currently work at two sole ownership wine shops in Minneapolis. And over the past year, several small shops have closed up and moved out. So that's another thing that I'll always say is like, whenever you get the chance, support your small local guys. A lot of the stuff at like Total Wine is just rebottled stuff that they bought and put into another container and charged up like 800%. But that's my little soapbox. But again, go out, try stuff, support your local guys. Little guys are more likely to have interesting stuff open on weekends than big box stores.
Very true.
You can also, depending on where it is, I've got a couple of friends that, what is it? I think it's Twisted Path in Milwaukee. Twisted Path or Twisted Spoke. And they basically got a group together. It wasn't cheap, but it was affordable for, some guys that are, in their 30s and doing well in their careers. And they all went in and essentially got to pick the different grain balance and barrel types and barrel stages for their own custom whiskey.
Huh.
So, and they bought into this, and then they get samples, and as it goes, larger and larger bottles over the course of 3 years. They went in, they tasted the different malts and grains, then they tasted the fresh, brew and distillate, and now they're at the stage where they get little samples from the barrel of where the aging's taking place. And I think they even lined up 4 different barrels to get 4 different finishes as it goes. So like there are things like that out there where you can be in control of the experiment of what's in the bottle. It's hard and or to varying incredible degrees illegal to do whiskey at home. Like you can get away with it with beer. It's also like dangerous with whiskey. So
fire and alcohol fumes everywhere.
Yes.
No.
Ventilation is huge.
But if you've got a curious group together, you know, there are opportunities out there to sample things or even craft and sample things that no one else is going to get the chance to. And for me, that's part of the fun of the whole thing.
The same thing applies to some wines and beers where places will they'll take care of the process and storing it and keeping the temperatures and all that, and then you come in whenever a decision needs to be made and do the work.
Absolutely.
It's kind of
One of the fun things you can do actually, if you're in Indiana, if you go to Three Floyds, or Chicago, I believe has Lagunitas now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the brew houses that they have, that they're basically on the manufacturing facilities. They'll have just day beers, as they call them. That it's just something that someone wanted to do, and they'll be crafting this over the course of a couple days. And the only time you're ever going to get to try this is if you go in that day. So it pays to take some of that time, like you were talking about. Go check out some of your local places. Go check out some of the places that have it on tap, because you might get to go in and try a beer one day that, unfortunately, you'll never get it again unless it passes some kind of, incredible, like, everybody loved this beer, so we're going to make it a manufacturing run. But it's cool because you get to try stuff that if you had skipped out on the opportunity, you would never get to try it at all. So it's definitely worth it to look around and try these different places and see what tickles your fancy. This is definitely not where I started.
Also, in Indianapolis, there's one in Fishers called Harmony Winery that does what I was mentioning with the wine, basically what he was talking about. And you can choose your own to make.
Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own wine adventure.
Choose your own honey.
And if you screw it
Your
up,
own
it's
black
on.
house.
So we've got one more
So
person over
we've
there.
We've got Era, who's a local to me.
Yeah, I'm Era, and I'm kind of a hobbyist homebrewer and drinker.
You brought something tonight,
Yep,
so
that's-
tell me about this.
Is that ice wine?
No.
So this is a Frontenac Brie.
Yeah.
That
I volunteer at a local winery every harvest season. So in 2015, they gave me 5 gallons of this fresh pressed Frontenac Brie juice to make my own wine. And this is the last bottle of it that I have.
would you like to taste it without opening the bottle? Sure. All right. So
I've never seen a Corabon before.
yeah. So
What's it called?
So this is a Coravin. So this is a nifty and really expensive little piece of equipment used in the professional wine industry. This utilizes a very, very fine-tipped needle that goes down through the cork. And inside this little section right here, there's a little capsule of inert argon 65 that displaces the air volume inside the bottle. And so when it's injecting the gas, and when you release the little lever, it pushes wine out. So when you set it back upright, there's just a spike of argon, so it's never going to oxidize.
That's kind of neat.
So since Aaron's never seen this, I can demonstrate. These are what we use a lot at my store when we're having samples of like really expensive wines, because you can take a little wine out of the bottle and just test it and see how the quality is, and without even opening the bottle. That's sweet.
It's so
It's magic.
It's pretty amazing stuff, actually.
So then you just pull it back up. The cork seals itself back up. Wine is perfectly good. You can drink it a year from now.
That's
Well
some
done.
cool stuff right there.
All right.
Boys and their toys.
I have to ask.
What's up?
What is the how much?
They usually start around $300.
Oh my God.
And the little
Yeah, I was about to ask how much are
the
those?
little capsules are around $10 a piece, but
That's not bad.
they get through about. I mean, if you use a capsule, and just use it down to about half, that last half, you might as well just open the bottle. So probably about 6 bottles worth, 8 bottles worth.
Where do you find that to purchase?
You can get them at Binny's if you're in Chicagoland. Otherwise, you can get it.
I want to look at the cork.
Right from Coravin.com.
That's cheaper than I was expecting you to say for how fancy.
Yeah. They do packages. I mean, just this by itself is about 300, but they do like big packages like this where they send you like a dozen of these, and it's like 500 or 600. So
Hit the vein first try.
That is
awesome. So that'll be good.
Does it work as well in synthetic corks as natural?
Do you need to put the thingy on the ding-a-ling?
Say again? Oh, yeah. That way you don't stab yourself on.
I love that he understood that.
It has so many little warning signs all over to not stab yourself and give yourself an embolism with argon.
That would be
So
don't do
lethal, but useful for extracting wine without opening the vault.
That's what they do with those
And
shark
doing
knives.
strange murders.
Is this yours?
That is mine.
May I have a seat?
You may.
I need a cup.
Oh, do you want me to get you a cup? Actually, there's a table right inside.
I'm green.
Unfortunately,
Please.
for anyone who has seen other things, we cannot share anything. But if you find this stuff or find it interesting or end up in other people's rooms or whatever, what you do in your rooms is none of my business.
But definitely try this.
So, Isla whiskey. Isla is a region of Scotland known for.
No, that is not the natural color.
Yeah.
I must
It's got a
try
black
this.
grain on it. That's just.
Take a look. It's fine.
I heard laughter. Did you have
That's
any
right.
jokes then?
That's fine.
He's skeptical.
I didn't see if you had one around if you needed one. Okay. I have a spare one.
So this one's got kind of that, like if you ever gone through, storage in your grandparents' basement and you find like an old leather suitcase.
A little bit.
It's a little bit like that.
What's that? Good enough?
Yeah.
I find this.
I got a bottle of their 12 recently and I enjoyed it. This is a very different beast
It is
from
very
the 12.
different, yes.
Sure.
Although I don't. Is the 12 unchill filtered?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you'll find in whiskeys, especially in blends, chill filtered.
Oh, here we go.
It doesn't mean the whiskey is going to be bad in any way, but it is going to smooth it out and make it more mild. And to a lot of people that are really into whiskey, chill filtered basically means boring and lacking character. There are plenty that are chill filtered that I enjoy, but if something says unchill filtered, for my palate, that's something that's far more interesting. To the average person that is not experienced in whiskey, if something is upfront labeled unchill filtered and perhaps is on the smokier side of things, they're going to go, oh, what is that?
That's very true.
See, I find this one to be not as smoky as.
It's
most
not
other Islas.
smoky, but
It's not really. It's
boy,
not at all.
does
It's
it have that
leathery.
weird leather taste. I haven't even tasted it yet. Smell.
I get the leather on the nose, but yeah, there's definitely not as much peat, not as much smoke. This is basically turning into a Scotch appreciation panel.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I could go get the Malort.
We could do that. No,
Don't get my beer.
What I want to do is get a damn old fashioned appreciation.
Okay, so let's talk out to
A
the audience.
Wisconsin old fashioned.
We've talked about things that are interesting to us or things we've gone out and experimented with.
what do you want to hear about?
Well, but I want to hear about from the audience, just really quick. We'll go quick fire through it if a lot of people raise their hand. What's the most interesting drink you've had?
The most interesting drink I actually made, it was a gooseberry choke cherry wine.
Like you brewed a wine?
I made the wine. I went out and picked the choke cherries, and we had gooseberries in the backyard, so we got all the ingredients together, and my grandpa brews wine in the basement. And he said, here you go, here's a 5-gallon carboy, and have at it. You helped me enough, do it.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And how was it?
he brewed banana wine that year for Thanksgiving, and my 5 gallons went before his 1 gallon.
Oh.
There is no greater praise you could receive at that point.
Yeah.
That's bragging rights.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It went down and it tasted like chocolate, and it was wonderful, and it was drier than most people would think, so it tasted like a dark chocolate.
Interesting.
Do you have any left? Because I need
This sounds
some.
really
I
good.
need some. I like alcohol and I like dark chocolate.
If you can find the gooseberries and the choke cherries, it's really actually pretty easy to make. But finding gooseberries and choke cherries is much harder than you'd want to actually.
Sounds terrible.
What about some other folks? What is the most interesting drink you've had? I saw Hannah back first, then we'll go to Ed. And Ed, if it's the combination I think it is.
No, it has to be something I remember.
Fair.
That's a good rule.
What is that? Is that a sourpuss in back?
Yeah, it is.
I'm short and there are tall heads in between.
So fire brewed hard root beer I just recently discovered again.
What?
Fire brewed hard root beer. That's
Does anyone up here know what that is?
Yes. I have no idea.
No. Fire brewed hard root beer is delicious. That's what it is. I find that the fire brewed hard root beer has a little bit less sweetness, but as you might have gathered, I like things that have a little imprint of heat and smoke on them. So I find them to be quite pleasant personally. I know my first endeavor into hard root beer was Sprecher. I love Sprecher hard root beer. What particular brand exactly?
Oh, God. Oh, I opened the bottle by accident. It wasn't Spectre.
It was record. We had the other one. Yeah, it was actually Fursquared, yeah.
So that's a technique, not a brand name. The fire brew.
Yeah, no, but I figured if there was...
Okay.
If he could remember what brand it was, maybe we could narrow that down. But yes. Yes, no, fire roasting is totally a brand. What are you talking about?
All right, Ed, what are you going to hit us with?
Chartreuse.
Very good. I like
Awesome.
What is it? Chartreuse.
It is brewed with 50 herbs and flowers.
Yep.
It tastes a little bit like gin, but with the juniper very muted.
it. So, chartreuse, one, there are only 2 living monks at a given time that know the recipe. And even then, the current recipe is somewhat of an approximation because there was issues with death at some point in their history.
And a vow of silence, but...
Well, that too. I always described that one as it smells and tastes like Christmas. Yay, there's other people that understand.
Good Christmas? Are we talking like fruitcake kind
No,
of?
like if you
Like
ever
pine
go to
trees.
Tijuana,
Yeah, if you had
go to
like all the
Tijuana
pine
and
trees
get,
in glass
like,
shoved into you.
Get the peppermint tea and the gingerbread tea and combine them, and tastes like Christmas.
So I've only ever had green chartreuse, and there's yellow is the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yellow's the harder to find one. I've only ever had green myself.
And they've got a really high-end one that's like $150
Oh,
Chartreuse is interesting. If you ever get the chance, just try it. It's not hard to find. It's not the cheapest per bottle ever, but so like for an experiment, it can be a bit much. But they smell. They smell. They sell. They smell of Christmas. They smell. I did it again.
Here, have another
I've
glass.
always found it's very similar to absinthe in some ways.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
So
Take a
if
shot.
you ever run into any recipe that calls for chartreuse, you can probably pretty easily replace it with absinthe or Pernod, which is another green liqueur. They're herbal, yeah.
What about other people? What do you got?
I tried something from Revolution Brewing at the place that was one of their barrel-aged stouts that beat the Palo Santo Marron from Dogfish Head and then beat the Dragon Milk, which was even smoother than that. And I went, Jesus Christ. But of course, I can't exactly recount exactly what the taste was to you because I was also trying something else that was high in alcohol content. And by then I was like,
I feel like we need a whiteboard to write all these things down.
I really like this.
start putting them on the screen.
Quick, somebody with Evernote.
So that's kind of an untapped area that we haven't really touched on that's absolutely massive. Beer, guys.
Beer is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
when I've been out to middle of nowhere in Montana, there's microbrews everywhere, even out there.
Same in Pennsylvania.
They need something to do.
Well, they got cattle.
Yeah.
Well, it's also overall easy. So Tebriel, he's been working ops a bunch, and he's helped run a bunch of panels in previous years. Was there a homebrewing panel this year or no?
I don't believe so.
That's sad.
Martini usually runs that.
Yeah, Teb would also help. He does a bunch of home brewing here and there. One of his things was when he went the independent contractor route, to save on costs. If you already have the equipment and know what you're doing, his rule was the only beer he would drink is the beer he made. And like he had bottling things, so he was in an apartment of mine while doing this, and at one point he was making, I think I asked him to make a stout, and we did that, and things went awry, and so he's bottling everything, and I come home from a long day or whatever, he's like, Dragor, if I recall, you have plastic bins with lids where the handles come up and seal the lid down, right? I'm like, yeah, but I'm using them. What's up? He's like, if you could get those as soon as possible. Why? For whatever reason, the foam and CO2 content in this beer that he had brewed was way higher than expected.
Yep.
So what he described was, yeah, they could explode. So
been there, done that.
we put them in the bins very carefully. Like one of them, we watched like the lid like over time and just kind of it was ready to shoot off. That one never did. But 3 in the morning, and you just hear a gunshot shattering glass. And these bins are essentially right outside of my room in this apartment. And mind you, this apartment was in a spot of Chicago that had safe passage signs out on the streets. So there's that moment of, let's wait and see if we hear more before checking and making sure if it's actually the beer or not. But it was, so despite that, and boy did it foam. Every last one we cracked, it was just, Bad Dragon would have been proud. But it did ultimately taste good. It was weird. It was malty to the max. Oh my goodness. It was just molasses syrup.
Awesome.
I don't know if it really got us drunk. You couldn't drink that much of it without going like, I'm going to foam out my nose. But it did, it had a good taste overall. Just shenanigans and gremlins in the bottle.
There was a party, and everyone.
One of my roommates has been a little obsessed with brewing stuff at home, and I think how many Swazi has he had in his like pressurized growlers explode?
We have one growler explode.
Wait,
only one?
Growler exploded?
Ooh. They're 64 ounce.
No, I know what a growler is.
Yeah.
I'm like
32 ounce. Yeah.
Very. Like not just the cap shooting off.
No.
That's glass. There was glass everywhere. There was beer everywhere.
They are grenades. You don't want to be around
dangerous. We keep them all in the
So
refrigerator.
here's a question:
Yeah, that's the reason why I have Steve.
Do you have a broken refrigerator?
do you get an indication that the CO2 content is going to be that dangerous
I
before
had
things?
nothing to do with anything he was making.
Well, in general, is there a way to know these things might kill you?
Yes, there's a very simple experiment. It's called taking a CO2 canister and hitting it with a hammer. If you live, you will never do it again.
Wrong. Sometimes you have to see if different angles produce different outcomes. Science.
And at this point, I was at that, those teenage years where your friend has an airsoft gun and it's like, here's a fun idea. Instead of shooting each other, let's take the CO2 canister and hit it with a hammer because this will be cool.
Yeah.
Because you're 15 and this is fun.
When my best friend and I were 8, we thought we could get energy out of batteries by hitting them with hammers.
Did you lick the acid when it came out?
I didn't lick the acid, but it shot out and got me right here.
No, basically, that and this is a real concern if anyone wants to get into home brewing, because my dad actually, he makes just below the legal limit of having to get a license of wine every year. It's just something he picked up about 10, 15 years ago, which has been awesome for me because that's actually how I got into wine. I didn't really drink it much, but then I'd be on my way to work of all places, and he'd be like, hey, drink this really quick. And
Try this.
Thanks,
You might
Dad.
That's
taste
the best
tester.
time, right?
And back then I really hated my job, so I was like, okay. And because there was just enough of a drive that I could, don't drink and drive. But
Never drink
never
and
drink
drive.
and drive.
Never.
I don't
in the
even
age
have
of
it in
Uber
the
and
seat
Lyft.
next to you.
Yes, exactly.
It actually has to be out of arm's reach and sealed and stuff.
Yes.
Never drink and drive.
Not in New Orleans.
But
I need to keep the gravel
Really?
from tipping
Yes.
over.
The
It's
rule of
going
New
in the
Orleans-
seat next to me.
but
Okay, guys,
so
calm
so
down.
for
If your
rules though,
cup has a lid but no straw, that's a closed container. You're legal.
New Orleans is a fun place.
Used to be.
I've never been.
If your paper cup had a lid and a
Very
straw, and the piece of the straw paper was on the capping off the straw, that too was a closed container.
I'm saying we should go first.
I got pulled over for a taillight once, and I had the policeman, as he was walking up to my car, holler at me, "Take the straw out." Because I had just pulled out of a DACA.
That's a good policeman.
Yeah!
That's good. That's
So
good.
Wow.
the long and short of CO2 though is even in the context of making alcohol, which is fun because we've had that problem where I come downstairs and my dad would be working on something and anything would spring a leak anywhere in the system of making a bottle of wine, and it would just you see how far CO2 can shoot wine. It's incredible. It will go all the way across an entire 40 by 40 basement, and then you have to spend the rest of the day with a squeegee pushing it all into the drain. So. Yeah, CO2 doesn't stop being dangerous just because you're having fun with it. Absolutely. If you're going to do any sort of homebrew stuff, make sure your connections are safe. Make absolutely sure everything is hooked up properly. Be careful with growlers because you can make bombs effectively.
Make sure you're using glass bottles that you bought at a homebrew store.
Yes.
Because the stuff you get at Goodwill is not good enough.
There are flaws you cannot detect in there.
That's very true.
It basically is held together by hopes, dreams.
I actually recently discovered this after we had made a mead back about almost a year ago, and got it fermented basically till it had stopped bubbling. Bottled it, no problem. Got a little warm downstairs one day, and I wake up to the sound of not a gunshot, but that sound that is made when you think that a cat has knocked something expensive off of a high countertop.
My asshole sense is tingling.
I didn't think any of it at first, but then I smelled like toast, and I'm like, oh.
You're having a stroke.
I was about to
Oh,
say.
no, but when I opened the door, I wish I had had a stroke instead, because when you do homebrew stuff, don't store things on the top shelf.
Oh God!
Because it
Oh,
rains.
no.
It rains.
Keep that
And
on.
when it rains, it pours.
Sticky, fragrant stuff down on all your bottles.
You learned a
I've got
valuable
the
lesson,
African
I
didn't you?
learned an invaluable lesson. So yes, also use glass that you only buy brand new at a homebrew shop.
Because I recall.
Oh gee!
Look who.
Hey, we're here to fuck up your party.
Yeah, we've got like 5 minutes left.
Actually, about 50 seconds, but do your best.
Now, here's a question. So once you use the bottle for something like this,
Can we make this the alcohol?
recycle?
You can reuse it.
You
The
can-
what?
Okay.
It's used, so it's automatic.
Hold on. So we've got a legitimate thought process going
Sad.
there.
He was supposed to be up here.
Well, I was just asking, you know,
He's out of band.
if you buy a good bottle, can you reuse it? And the answer was yes.
Most likely.
Just make sure you're using good stuff to begin with.
Clean the piss out of it.
Yes.
What else is in there, Pepper?
Shut up.
How does it taste?
How's it taste, motherfucker?
Delicious.
I'm gonna assume what I have is better than that.
It's actually just orange juice.
I'm going to
and
say I know what I have is better.
There
than
it
that.
is.
There he is.
Hey.
What up, guys?
What up, yo?
We heard you have a panel.
Why are you there? Your
Why are
name.
you over
Wait,
there?
whoa.
Your
Your
name
name
is
is
on
on
this
this panel. You have to sit in
Your
the
ass
chair
up
up
here.
here,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna end.
So
His name is on the panel and my name is not?
That's
mine is though.
Nico's also on the panel. And
Where the hell is Miko? Who is Miko?
Wait. Do you know things about liquor other than consuming it? Yeah. That's why he's.
Alkaline, Alkaline, this is not the otherkin panel. It's cool. We got this.
Hold on, I just need to make sure of one thing before I leave.
Oh Jesus!
That's kind of empty.
Do be conservative.
If you chug that as much as
I
love
would
you,
never,
I will kill you.
never chug booze.
Oh,
I am
what are you doing?
I am having everything on the table because I am lonely.
He's
doing
doing
a
almost one of those.
Whoa. If you're consenting, that is your liquor.
I mean, he only put like the highest
why you're
order
sitting
here.
You are now my mother.
This is not a mixing table.
That's my
Thank you over and thank you myself.
I don't know you.
That's my purse.
I
don't know.
We all talk
That's my con. I don't. Oh, Jenga is
We're both done.
fucked up to the right. How has no one noticed this? Stick a block on there.
Because
This is that.
Was that my
Yeah, it's the Scotch Nike.
Oh, this was the
Wait, what did you just say?
It's the Scotch Nike.
That's about. I smelled it and I got leather and I drank it. I wanted to do the same thing.
go ahead and play with it.
He's gonna play with that.
Another note with the bottles. Shoot.
Yes.
Make sure you're using the right
Do
size.
rotating rules
There are
or not
different sizes.
Yes, there
If you
are.
especially if you have like one of the mechanical corkers, and you try to put a too large cork in a bottle, especially if you're a couple sizes off, boom!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll shatter. That's going to be a bad time.
Go.
See, the fun thing is, if we were actually talking about the science of making this stuff, I could fill another hour with talking about how this actually works. That's why at the
Yeah, I
beginning
can
I
do
said
that with wine and bourbon.
exactly, yeah, because that's why I said to make good Scotch, you have to make good beer because all Scotch starts
But
as
that
beer.
is something I want to know. Does anyone have any questions about particular spirits?
This is a good time to ask. I think
Does anyone here particularly like rye whiskey?
I love rye whiskey.
I do, yes.
Do you have a favorite?
I have had stuff that is good, yes.
I always recommend
But I don't
Crown
remember. It was a while
Royal
ago.
rye. I particularly like that one.
Brown rye is good.
Yeah, I haven't tried any other one. Oh, ryes. Have you? What would you recommend as another one to try?
Continuing on the Canadian whiskey route, actually, Pendleton makes really good stuff. There's another one called, I don't know if it's related to Pendleton. It's called Alberta Dark Rye. Really dark, rich, roasty, just full flavor rye. It's about 40%, but super delicious.
Alberta.
Alberta Dark Batch or Dark Rye. It stands out on liquor shelf because it is like mahogany.
It is very rich. It's very nice. I would recommend Bullet Rye if you've never tried it. Templeton Rye. I got an old fashioned at the hotel bar here made with Templeton Rye. It was a damn good old fashioned.
Templeton is a really good, solid. It's not the cheapest rye. You can get really cheap rye that's really, really disgusting. Templeton is what sold me on. I wouldn't call it amazing, but it's what sold me on experimenting with rye.
If you're going to experiment, I would say start with either Bullet Rye or if you can find it, Sazerac Rye.
Yeah. And if you can get a real Sazerac.
Yes.
Are you guys fan of? Well, I'm going back to Scotch whiskey, but are you guys fan of Dalwhinnie?
We had this discussion beforehand.
Okay. Well,
If you were
spoiler alert.
no.
Favorite.
the distiller is 40 miles from my house, so
Nice.
I go there quite often.
Now that he's
I
here,
thought
he can
about
tell us
bringing
where
it
that one place was that you were talking about.
Oh, Isla?
The Isle of Islay.
Yes, the island of Ireland.
I believe that's west coast. So if you go towards Glasgow and you go towards the Isle of Skye, I think it's that way.
Like I said, it's the best place in the world.
We literally have hundreds of tiny islands, and each of them has at least one whiskey distillery.
I was telling you,
Little fiefdoms.
yeah, it's like 30 by 30 with 11 distilleries. It's the best place on earth.
Yep.
And they're all pretty damn good, actually. Newcomer in that game is Kilhoman. Gotta be my new favorite.
So
actually.
instead of the daily
Got
milk
some
deliveries, you
good
have the
stuff.
daily whiskey
Ruffalo
deliveries
Edge is
coming around.
good.
Or the daily Scotch deliveries.
That'd be pretty great.
So we had rye. What do we
Wait,
got next?
Yeah, we got
Does anybody have any preferences for Japanese whiskey?
I have one. I just gotta go on about this. So there's a place in Madison, and maybe there's one in Minnesota called Vom Fass.
Yes.
Which I believe is called Latin for from the cask.
It's German for from the barrel.
Oh, okay. So, whatever, there's how much I was paying attention. In any case, they specialize in things from casks. So they have vinegars, they have oils, they have liqueurs, and then they have barrels they get of whiskeys from all over, including Scotch whiskeys. And one of the things they had there was a particular Lefroy. Lefroy is normally known for being pungent and smoky, and this thing was the single greatest whiskey I've ever had in my life. I have a 200-ounce bottle left because the cask is gone. It was one of those single cask things. I don't know what. I don't even know what special occasion will qualify for cracking it. It's my favorite ever. Like, I went back, and as long as they had the cask, I bought multiple bottles. So, for the Japanese thing, there is a place called the Nika Distillery. They have various things that are available in Binnies and around. They're growing. I tend to like them more than Yamazaki. If you go to their distillery, they have something called Peaty and Salty, which is the closest I have ever been to my favorite whiskey in the world. And they only release it once a damn year. So I got lucky in that a friend of mine went recently and smuggled back some bottles for me.
Really?
Yeah. It is... So normally, like, when I drink something, you have it, like, there's the nose, there's when it first, hits your mouth, and then it goes down the hatch, and there's the finish. And these are just weird to me. I shit you not. It goes through, like, several transformations of flavors while it's in your mouth. And it's the most... If someone were to explain this to me when I was just starting out, it'd be like, you're a snob, screw you. And I tried it, and it's so good. So, in general, anything by the Nika Distillery, I am a great fan of.
Nika's pretty solid. See, I love the Yamazaki, though. That was the first Japanese whiskey I tried. So I guess I've still got a...
Yamazaki's relatively still available if you look hard enough. And I found that one to be not so peaty.
Oh,
it's quite malty. If you like more of a peaty stuff, the Heavy Heat, I believe, another really easy to find one.
Yep.
Both are going to be around $70 to $100.
You're definitely getting the biggest issue I have with most Japanese whiskeys is bang for buck. You're getting like what is going to cost you, $70 to $100 for a Japanese whiskey. You can, in general, for an equivalent quality, for the most part, you can shave $20 off that, and a Scottish whiskey is right there.
Yes.
But there are flavor profiles that the Japanese stuff is doing that's harder to find on the others, in my experience. I don't know if that's where you're at.
No, absolutely. I mean, when we were over there, they were using ingredients that we wouldn't even have thought, like, that would have worked. And I'm pretty sure, like, was it last year that they actually beat Scotland?
They have a couple of times over the, 2014 onward, there's been a couple of things they've snatched.
They've really, stormed onto the...
Yeah,
stage.
the Nika Distillery in particular, the reason why I cite that one as my favorite and how they were able to make something that competes with my favorite Scotch whiskey ever, the original founder loved Scotch whiskey so much, he went to Scotland, toured the Isle of Skye all around, took notes of what they were doing, went back to Japan and went, alright, I'm going to copy this.
The bastards. That's how they did it.
That's how Nika did it.
Did you get to have the Hibiki? I think it was 1415 that won the...
I have not.
Grace, artist steal.
Fun thing. So this is a fun fact.
I've invested in this
I
stuff.
did get to try that whiskey. I got to try it the year that it won the best spirit in the world. And the funny thing is, I think I know why it won. Mass appeal. It didn't challenge anything at all. It was incredibly easy to drink, but there was nothing that stood out about it. That's what I think you should look for in something you want to drink. The reason I love this so much is because this is in your damn face. There is no punches being held. There is a Jenga tower over here that is absorbing everyone.
I know, it's so fucking distracting.
It's so enticing.
It's because he's behaving.
Drink, Jack. Most bitches get money. Panel over.
Hey, Pepper, remember that time in Japan we were coming back home to
We
our
were drinking
Airbnb?
Japanese whiskey.
And how fucked were the Japanese?
Oh!
They were falling in the streets and everything.
Yo, we get on the train stops. We've never been on my friend's never been on a
Thank
subway
my
before.
European genes, I can take alcohol.
My friend has never been on a subway in his whole life. We're in Tokyo, and we're like, the only way to get anywhere. We're going to be like, let's get an Uber. Uber doesn't exist there, but get about 5 blocks, costs about $100. Because there's no reason to take Uber unless you're rich as fuck. Because you just get on the subway, it takes a second. Well, the train, it's not even subway, it's above ground. But anyway, so the door opens, and a 75-year-old Japanese businessman walks like this. They're fucking crawling into this train. It's just like Thursday night, and they are just wrecked. One thing I like about the Japanese people, they know how to fucking party. Like, damn, they don't care at all. They're like, what is it, Tuesday? Here we go.
Work at 9 the next morning.
The next day we see a guy who's just straight up asleep. And if it was America, you'd be like, oh, it's just a homeless person. But Japan doesn't have homeless. Because they hide them way, you never see them.
He just woke up, grabbed a suitcase, and walked to
The
work.
paramedics! We were like, oh shit, something's happening. We see a guy just like passed out, and then we see like, the paramedics come like jogging by us with their shit. I'm like, oh no.
It's really hot as
We're
well.
like-
It's a very humid day, so we're thinking maybe it's like heat.
We thought he was trying to kill himself on the train, because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But they'll just jump from the subway, because it's reliable. You know when it's going to be there.
Hey,
You guys 3, 2,
You know it's going
1,
150
go!
Can we stop
I don't
you?
want to feel this.
He sat up, he went, took up his shit, just got on the train, sat down, was like, whew. He was just that wrecked. He just fell asleep at the fucking train stop for 9 hours. And it was woken up like, sir, are you dead? Oh, no, I'm good. And we saw that in 4 days in that city. Like, imagine what it's like if they were there for any kind of actual celebration.
Oh my god.
I think the moral of the story is drink Japanese whiskey, man.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, one of the common themes is, if you're curious, try. And it's very beneficial to go to tastings.
Wow.
We've got St. Patty's Day coming up, and a lot of companies put on a lot of tasting events for a lot of different types of alcohol. I went to a Japanese whiskey one dedicated to nothing but on St. Patty's maybe 4 years ago. So if you're curious about it, look to see what's going on in your area. You'll probably find something. And just go and enjoy.
Untapped universe. We haven't even mentioned sake.
Oh yeah.
Can be delicious.
Sake, anyone?
Yeah.
Fans?
War.
I won't ask you the names of any of them because none of the labels are in English.
I think the squiggles.
The one that goes like this and then goes like this.
It was a giant box on top of a big machine.
Right. That's racist. Suicide joke.
So, little trivia trivia that I'll share.
Wow.
It was actually from a brewery down in Chicago that they get imported.
Tell us this trick for
All right.
I don't
So,
remember the name of it. It's just a white label and barely anything on it.
yeah.
Only if we say his name 3 times.
Yeah, see it? You know.
Sake here.
It's actually pretty good.
Kage, there's sake.
Oh.
So I'm sure everyone
First from
everyone here
Alright,
at some
Pepper.
point in their life had sushi.
Yeah.
If you haven't,
What?
raise your hand. Good. All right. So sake is one of those
Do you remember I had-
unicorns that
Do you remember I have
people hear
access
about,
to
but like never get a chance to like screw around with. And I think that's an absolute shame because sake is an amazingly beautiful trip into Wonderland. Or at least it can be.
I'm sorry, the panel is going to be watch Pepper drunkenly play giant
What am I drinking?
Jenga.
Which one? What's the best one?
You're not right.
This tastes like feet.
No, it doesn't.
Anyone?
No, he doesn't. I've done this to him on stage several times. It's like
I want him to
yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
What face was
I'm not going to
that?
make it fun.
You're not allowed to be next to my booth anymore. I'm
I thought you
amazed.
liked feet.
You're really not allowed
It
to
doesn't
be
smell like foot,
I
it smells
want
like
him to make it grow over.
It smells like.
No, you're gonna make it grow over. Are you fucking?
Tell me that doesn't smell like half Listerine.
You know what it smells
Oh my God.
like? It smells like a log from God's fire.
The yellowish, brownish non-mixed.
That's dangerous. Are you sure? Oh, it's your
It
turn.
smells like a poplar.
Alright, do you have any like good bourbon?
See? Yes.
Pepper.
Yes.
So fun.
Pepper, you're
For
up.
later.
Pepper, it's your turn.
Rum?
It's your
For
turn.
No, I gotta try one of these.
For later.
We are
not
you're-
interrupting the panel.
He is so
Technically, we're
wrecked, holy
15
shit.
minutes over.
Oh, whatever.
The panel's done.
Pepper,
Do not drink from that
I
bottle.
will end you.
Pepper, do you get drunk?
Will end
Sometimes.
All-
Do you like
I will-
things?
I will finish out on
My
sake.
husband taught me one thing. It's how to
Yeah.
choke somebody up.
Let's get the sake
I
off.
will
You too, as soon as he's done.
I will
You
try
and
and finish out on the sake thing
As soon as he's done.
as quickly as possible. Sake is something that not a lot of people get to experience or have time or
She's not used
interest
to having
in.
a camera shoot.
But if you can find a place that has a good sake
Wait,
selection,
don't do anything
or
yet.
go to a restaurant, try stuff. I'm sure everyone has had like a little
No,
hot
that's
sake
not
at
fair.
a sushi restaurant. And it may have had a certain flavor, but every sake out there is entirely different. It is as diverse as beer. Some of them are going to be really umami and savory. Some are going to be sweet and thick and rich like a banana milkshake. Some are going to be white and rosy. I highly recommend going out and trying sake. There is you can drink a lot of sake and not have any ill effects the next day. I have confirmed this with multiple people multiple times, and it makes you immortal.
Yo, that was that 85-year-old Japanese guy crawling on the train.
Yeah,
He was non-stop.
He was fine the next day. I guarantee.
He had to go to work. It was Friday.
Yeah.
Do they not get hangovers?
No, well,
sake doesn't. Sake is brewed in such a careful, controlled way that the congeners or like the chemicals that come out during fermentation,
Oh my God.
the higher alcohols and such, don't really form. So you get very pure ethanol in the distillation or brewing.
Is that true of Tropicana Origin?
No. But another little thing to take note of is that there are two kind of universes of sake. There's Junmai, and then there's not Junmai. And the difference between the two is Junmai sakes don't have rice alcohol added, so they tend to be a lot smoother, softer, high pepper. And
holding a jug.
They don't have the rice alcohol.
They don't have the rice alcohol. They're smooth and softer, and ones that are not Junmai are a little bit more rich and hot and go well with like steak or roasted foods. I recommend Junmais if you're doing something delicate like sushi.
What's the kind that they give me out of a box, and it's very hot, and then we drop it into a Bud Light and I chug really fast?
That's not
a
sake
bomb.
bomb.
I believe the brand name was called Kikoma.
That's
Shut up, you assholes! Don't explain my jokes to each other.
Right over here, right here. All right. So, not the best tasting, but what's the best bang for your buck that you can get with a liqueur? Like, in your opinion.
Depends on what flavor you're going for.
Do you mean like for what each of us like for Scotch, a bourbon, a rye, a wine, or like?
Personally, my favorite liqueur is actually
overall. I'm just saying, like, what do you think if you had a choice for affordability versus taste?
Affordability versus taste. I was about to say Rumplemint because I really love it, but it's not the cheapest.
Talisker Storm, only because my local store was... Oh, liqueur. Okay, I thought I heard liquor, like liquor, not liqueur. If you like sweet. Shoot, I'm not as versed in beer.
I don't really go down those aisles too much, so I am not a good person. I don't do a lot of mixed drinks. I generally do just straight spirits.
What you're saying is we lost Martini, and this is what we need.
Oh no!
All right, wait.
I actually really love Grand Marnier.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's sort of like a coverall for a lot of mixed drinks because it's got such a rich orange flavor, but you know you've got several different orange like liqueurs out there. There's triple sec, there's Cointreau, and Grand Marnier. And I think the best bang for the buck is Grand Marnier because they blend the base liqueur with Remy Martin 10-year-old cognac. So you are getting way more value for your money than you are with Cointreau, which is basically your basic triple sec in a fancy pop.
Really?
It's made with like Seville oranges, so it's like super. I don't know. You can't really taste a lot of the difference, but go with Grand Marnier if you're making like an awesome margarita. I would even do it in like just a splash in like an old fashioned instead of doing like an orange bitters.
Ed was next.
Yes, pepper.
Ed
was next.
So, I have a quest to find particular spirit, and since I've not been able to yet, I must live vicariously and ask, have any of you had Buckfast?
Yes.
Yeah!
He is coming to Scotland in November, and the first thing he wants to do is drink some Buckfast.
Buckfast gets you
Buckfast.
Ah!
Whoa.
It's also very cheap.
For those who do not know,
It's basically tonic wine.
it is a fortified tonic wine in a 750 milliliter bottle. It is about 450 milligrams of caffeine.
It's like, it's
That
like
sounds
fucking
horrible.
It's the Mad Dog of Scotland.
If you've ever heard of chav culture in the UK, where they wear Burberry caps and
I would be a
trackies, that's like the Bucky drink that they have.
Why did we not try that?
What?
Why did we not drink that when I was in Scotland?
Sounds like because we're better than them.
Okay,
we went to Delwyn.
I'm not better than
We went to Delwyn.
I don't want to drink that shit. No freaking way. You can have it all the
Did I
time.
tell you the story of what my dad said to the British guy when I was buying my car? I'm buying a Chevy, and my dad's trying to like make a joke on how shitty Chevys are, and he like accidentally says like to this British guy like, "Chavy." My dad didn't know. This guy did a double take because he's like, I saw his face. Like, Americans shouldn't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
I'm cackling like an idiot knowing what it is.
He doesn't know what it is then.
I think this young ginger here.
It's a legitimate question. Come on. Okay. So this is like, I feel this is something we could use in our everyday lives. So if you want to go to a bar and determine whether or not it's like a real bar or just some fucking Applebee's horse shit, what is the first like very like basic but classic like cocktail that you ask for to determine like, oh cool, okay, they know what the fuck they're doing? For me, it's a Sazerac. If you walk up and say, can I have a Sazerac please? And they go, huh? I'm like, okay, I'll have a Miller Lite. Whether they know what the fuck they're doing or not. What would you guys ask for that will be like, hey, you guys know how to make a drink?
An old-fashioned, and the reason is, I have been to a lot of bars. I've had a lot of old-fashions. I've had a lot of not old-fashions, because when you go to a college bar and you ask for an old-fashioned, and the person who's working there clearly because, you know, they can sell a lot of drinks, if you know what I'm getting at, is standing there like, oh yeah, I can make that for you, and you watch them pour simple syrup and grenadine and the worst bourbon they can find into a glass, and then put an orange wedge on it, you just kind of want to reach across the counter and strangle them a little bit.
Yeah. So was it Tilted Kilt? Raise your hand if you know what Tilted Kilt is. Okay, and I said, hey, so this says you have a deal on spirits. What spirits are there? It's like, yeah, you know, we got Bud Light, Miller Light. Cut, and I'm like, oh! And I'm like, okay, just open a can, give it to me, please.
I almost killed the bottle for that.
Keep going.
Yes, so old-fashioned though. No, that's the whole damn story. Is if you screw that drink up, you are not a legitimate bar. But there are so many bars that know all the wrong ways.
Wait. So considering our state, who has had a Milwaukee Old Fashioned?
Whoa.
So
can I get that at this bar?
Yes, they will. Do you know what a Milwaukee Old Fashioned
No
is?
idea.
A Wisconsin or Milwaukee Old Fashioned is
Yes.
made with brandy.
Yes.
Oh.
That's
What kind of brand?
No, it is not.
in my family.
Truly the best soul singer of
I mean,
the
the Old Fashioned came after the Sazerac.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the history of the thing.
I love any drink where part of it is you take your drink and then you fucking throw it out and you keep going.
No, they advanced the tech. They put the absinthe, in the spritz bottles. Yay! What? They put
absinthe
you know how Sazerac
rinse.
is
Sazerac
So
starts with an
anything that says a
absinthe
wash,
rinse.
if
So
they
you just
put it-
fucking
or
swirl it
rinse.
and toss it and you
You
spritz.
put it in a little atomizer bottle and you just spritz the inside of the glass and then you don't have to waste good absinthe or whatever the fuck you're washing with.
It's so fun. This guy over here is
wrong
like,
with you?
Pep's a piece of
No,
shit.
just-
Sazerac. Okay, only half a piece of shit.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, like those little like perfume bottles that go. Yeah, that.
I didn't know we were using.
Maybe not that sound effect.
I'm sorry, are we trying to end this game?
All in a Milwaukee.
That stung a little bit.
Unbelievable. Isn't it? They're just swapping for
believe it's just
Really?
with brandy, but not shit brandy.
There's another
And
version.
it's quality.
Well, because if you go to this bar and you ask for an old fashioned, they're gonna ask you if you want a sweet or a sour as well. Because
luck.
up here that is a distinction.
Really?
Yes, they will. I would recommend a sweet if it's your first one. It's a little easier.
Would they use
What was the original question? The cocktail you asked. He asked that.
For legitimate.
Yeah, try to
Yeah,
find
what
a good
cocktail
bar.
you ask? Not even to be an asshole, just like some really truly basic shit.
A mint julep.
Pepper, sure, go.
What? Come on! We haven't lost yet? Jesus.
You're trying very
Mint
hard.
juleps are some of the simplest things to make.
Oh,
A lot of bars.
What kind of ass shit is
It's like 5 rounds just to.
Whoa.
Lose, please.
I didn't know the strategy.
I had like 15 better moves than that.
From an engineering standpoint.
Yo, I'm a Olympic Jenga player.
Olympic. Pepper Coyote, the USA Olympic. Olympic in
All
one.
right. You know what my favorite
That doesn't even
is?
make
One shot of Captain, sigh, then fill the rest
Oh.
of the glass of Captain.
You need to go up to
What is still
you need to go up to Tomahawk and find like some dive.
What is still?
Whoa, this is really precarious.
Okay.
She taught me to mix drinks. And
Okay, who's whoa. Whose camera is that?
Try to look away, answer a question, realize that you poured too much, and
Be cautioned of what's about to happen here.
No worries, we can't be held liable.
I'm not
Is this
liable.
layer in play?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Top
for a
2
second.
layers can't do.
Sorry.
So,
Sorry about
on
it.
the subject
Sorry
of
about
mint
it.
julep.
Yes.
Mint
Other than they're pretty dead simple and a bartender worth anything. Like if he went to 1 week of, bartender.
There you go.
We want the most important sport.
Margarita. Canadians are something else too.
I don't drink a lot of
Thank you, I love live
and you
photos.
can immediately judge by watching what the bartender uses.
I have to see that face. I have to see the face of.
Yes. Okay,
Pepper, man, you're
I don't know if
amazing,
the rest of y'all want to keep going, but I have to go check out some other things because I have responsibilities here.
Responsibilities.
Yeah.
So you're
So,
getting drunk.
thank you, everybody. We have special guests: Pepper Coyote, Fox Samore, Dixie.
They
What?
told us to come here. We didn't just show up to be.
No, he was supposed to be here because his name was on the damn thing. You just showed up and provided entertainment while people were tuning
One
out.
time they de-invited me from prom. Guess who showed the fuck up that night? I was there.
Was it your mom?
That's gonna be a gift, and I want to share.
Yes, do it. New telegram gift.
What was it? Olympic? What did he say?
Olympiac.
Olympic American Olympic champion of Jenga.
Yes.
Before.
So yeah, I'm Jaguar. Bye. I gotta go check in the door side.
I'm Foxamer. Sorry, I was late.
I'm Shia. I was the one
I
who
need
was
an iPhone charger.
I was supposed to be here. But I appreciate everyone else's show.
Everyone give a
Thank
round
you
of
for
applause
showing.
for our panelists that helped make this thing actually informative. Unlike the stupid jokes I kept rattling off all night.
Someday we'll do it without.
But you're loud, so you project, so it's all good.
Yeah, because I gotta be on stage, I gotta compete with fucking Alkali.
Oh yeah.
That dude will bolster your projection capability.
Do you remember IFC 2017's Alcohol Appreciation? Where it was just them screaming and us sitting in the back trading shots?
No!
I don't either. That's really how that panel went.
Do you want to keep going? Do you want to keep going?
You know what? I want to hear the mint julep answer. I do.
Well,
Because
there's nothing to it. It's a simple drink. They should know how to do it. If they can't do a mint julep flat out, I would walk away if you're looking for a good
If
drink.
they don't have fresh mints, probably
Actually,
not
there's a really good thing right there. If they don't have fresh
It's not a fresh
ingredients, like fresh oranges, fresh mint, fresh lemons, anything like that. If they're just pulling something out of a fridge from who knows when.
Ask for a Corona and lime and get a Corona with a lemon wedge.
What?
That's really bad.
Wow.
So I said margarita
Per
because
request of the door side that have to watch this room, we do legitimately have 5 minutes and then we do have to clear out.
Sounds good.
we'll finish with us too. I mean, I'm gay. I like fruity drinks. You guys like margaritas?
No.
I don't know anyone who doesn't.
Me.
Go away. I just say that the perfect margarita, in my experience, is either is real lemon juice. I'm sorry, real lime juice, Cointreau or Grand Marnier, preferably, an ice Really? Oh, and tequila. Duh.
Kind of important.
Kind of important. Reposado, preferably, and you can ask for a perfect margarita. That's usually going to be mid-tier tequila, but you can see what they pull out because I don't know. 1800 is probably like the lowest I will go on the tequila scale. That's still actual tequila. Tequila is a universe unto itself that I can wax lyrical about for days, but I won't, because I've recently been horribly spoiled.
Yes. As long as you don't take Jose Cuervo.
No, Jose Cuervo is garbage. Do not buy it ever.
If you hate yourself, it's okay.
Yeah.
And there are those days.
You might as well just reach in for 40 malt liquor.
Yeah, exactly.
There are those days as well.
Mixed drinks? Well, I don't usually get the mixed drinks, but to see if a bar's legit, I'd order a zombie, which is kind of an older style tiki cocktail.
What all is in a zombie?
It's mostly rum.
Oh, okay.
Captain Cat.
They are quite tasty.
And an umbrella. We'll put on too.
But Tom Collins is another.
That's a good choice.
Simple, and half the time they don't know it.
It's kind of fallen out of... Tom Collins has fallen out of vogue, I feel like. I haven't heard one of those ordered in a bar in a while.
I don't think I've ever heard of one, actually.
What is a Tom Collins?
I cannot remember.
It's gin and lemonade with less sugar.
Oh.
Okay. Actually,
it's exactly gin and lemonade with less sugar.
Rob Roy is another one I actually quite enjoy ordering because it's like...
My universe is wine. Tell me about this.
The Rob,
what is a Rob Roy?
I cannot remember for the damn life of me everything that's in one. All I can remember is that my brother dared me to order one, and I know it has bourbon and a cherry in it.
Oh,
it's really
it can't
good.
be bad.
No,
it cannot be bad.
I'm trying to remember exactly what's in it now, so I guess if I go order one, I can't be disappointed if it's wrong.
To the bar.
I think next year someone needs to kind of take notes, and maybe we can send out a quick or put up a post of what we talked about, some drinks, brands.
Exactly.
You know, does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah. It helps to have notes ahead of time. To give some background, I literally saw my name was on a panel for a room, and I showed up. Thankfully,
I showed up because I'm just usually here to talk about my Lord.
I say, thankfully,
my name was not on the panel, and I'm always on it. And I was like, I'm here.
And
no
you
one else
brought
is.
toys.
Yes.
If I wasn't here, things wouldn't start.
No, so,
yes, I
yeah,
did bring toys.
These fine folks showed up to help out.
Yes.
So I looked around and I was like, where are the other panelists?
Thank you for coming, and thank you all for coming, Jim.
Yes, thank you all so much.
I assume Nico must have been abducted by all of this.
I don't know. I don't know who Nico did. We good?
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
good.
All right.
To the bar.
Thank you guys.
Everyone's allowed to leave.
Yes, we're all going to go to the bar and order